It's day 34. I am feeling some effects from yesterday. So yeah, yesterday was not a good day for me. Today I seem to have less of the emotions and more physical symptoms. So I think something I'm learning is that, like, I've had a headache. I woke up with the worst headache. I couldn't sleep again. I had nightmares again. I had an upset stomach. I couldn't eat yesterday. I ended up feeling sick. I got some food and just getting it out of the fridge and looking at it, I felt sick. And even today, I've made some dinner, and as I was eating it, I was just like, I just don't want to eat this. But I knew I had to eat something because I couldn't go 2 days without eating. But yeah, today's definitely been a day of like feeling physically exhausted from yesterday. And it's teaching me that these things that I go through is quite testing on the mind and the body. You know, mental health isn't just about intrusive thoughts and what people sometimes assume mental health to be. It can, one bad mental health day can have a adverse effect on your body for hours, days, weeks, months after. I'm hoping this is just going to be a day or two to kind of get it fully out of my system, all the hormones and stuff that have been rushing around and making me feel. But I definitely feel like that knot that was in my chest, that heaviness, that epic sadness, is definitely not there today. It's been replaced with quite a lot of questions again. Me trying to look back and see if I missed signs on, was this person giving me signs and I was just ignoring them? And at the very beginning they were very open and honest, and like I said, I think that's one of the reasons why one of the reasons why I fell so hard, because I thought, oh my god, finally someone that I can actually be in a committed relationship with that is never going to lie to me. And there were difficult things that we had that, looking back on it now, did kind of clash with my values. So yeah, there's, I was willing to bend in some of my aspects, and they were also willing to bend in some of their aspects and stuff. And it was just, I keep going through floods of kind of like, it was, were we just two totally wrong people? And I was like, oh, but I was so excited. Like we were two sides of a coin. And I was so excited to learn about their life, and hope that they were as excited to learn about how different my life was. And I was just like, could I have done more? And I'm like, Stace, think what you did. Yeah, you some of the things that you asked for, which was reassurance. You asked for some attention. You asked for some commitment. You asked for to be chosen. And whilst you shouldn't have to ask for those things at the time, I think you did give it everything. Like, every trip was, door to door, 20 between 24 and 27 hours, depending on how you got there. Like 3 flights there, 3 flights back, costing £1,000 every time you went over. And you done that multiple times. And on some occasions all you said was, whilst ever we're in each other's company, just no phones, just me and you. Let's just, our physical time together is very short. Let's just commit that time to each other. And they just couldn't do it. And it just, the more I kind of asked for it, the more I think they were just getting frustrated with me asking. And towards the end, where I kind of came away thinking, oh my God, you know, I'm asking for all these things and stuff, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, if they'd come here, if they'd have spent 24 to 27 hours traveling here, my phone would be switched off and in a drawer for every single second that they were here. Like, you know, they've made the effort to come all that way. Anyone in my life, if they can't wait for the week or the 10 days, you know, whilst I'm with someone who's made that effort, then they're not true friends, you know. And I know I've got friends that, you know, I know when I used to go over there, and, you know, there was one occasion where I think I spent, it was just over 2 weeks, and I didn't speak to my neighbour once, and I think I only spoke to Hinton a couple of times, and that was literally because it was my first visit over there. It was just to say I've arrived, everything's great, you know, and just to let them know that I was safe, but had no need or want or requirement to kind of check in with anyone. So a lot of the things that I've been kind of questioning towards the end and thinking, you know, I can see now why, you know, why I was maybe coming across as quite, you know, demanding and things. And it was basically because I wouldn't have done that to them. And I think this is something, I'm going to put this down as my learning today, is that not everyone is going to treat you like you treat them. Not everyone is going to give you the same love and attention as you give them. Not everyone is going to give you the same commitment and passion and energy as you give them. And you either need to make a decision in that moment to accept what they give you and be happy with it, or to say thank you very much, but this is not what I want. And I don't think I've ever done that in my life at all. I don't think I've ever stood up for myself in that respect, where I've kind of said, this isn't enough for me. And when I have tried to do it, especially in my past relationship, I don't think I went about it the right way. You know, and I tried to try and explain it, but again, like I said, every time I tried to explain something, it felt like they thought I was trying to argue with them, and, you know, I hate arguing. It was never that. So it's just, yeah, I think my learning for today is, no matter how much you love and care for someone, if you cannot accept what they give you, or it's not enough, or it doesn't make you happy, or it's not your place to ask for more. It's not your place. You can say, hey, can we talk about something? This upsets me, and the right one will sit down and say, talk to me, tell me how you feel. I think what I'm learning is that there wasn't anything that I wasn't willing to compromise on. I mean, I told my job I was going to be leaving. I told my best friends I was leaving. I was willing to give up my home and move 4,500 miles away to go and, you know, live with them and start a new life over there. Like, you know, I was willing to give up everything here, because that was going to be my next chapter in life. And I know that they were still reading old chapters, and still had a lot of connection to old chapters that they weren't fully willing to let go of. And I put too much time and effort into trying to convince them that this next chapter could be something amazing, because it's not my place to do that. It's my place to bring something to the table, have them bring something to the table, and then together you decide if that's going to be, good enough. So yeah, you're definitely, with some of the questions that are coming up today, like I said, when there's less emotion involved, it is sometimes easier to kind of really break it down where things fell apart. Because I do just, all I ever wanted for them was for them to be happy, and to be happy with them, and to start this new amazing, chapter that I was so excited about. And even now, my choice to say to them, choose this or let me go, I wanted it to be their decision. I wanted them to choose between what they were already choosing or me. Because if they chose that thing, then I would never have been able, no matter what I'd done, I would never have been able to make them happy, because what they chose over me is not something I could ever give them. And I would rather have someone let me go and have them find the happiness that they want in something else, than to, make the choice to be, or for me to convince them to be with me, and it just never make them happy. So yeah, it's definitely easier to kind of think about things. But yeah, you're learning today is not everyone is going to bring the same to the table, and you have to sit down at the table and decide whether you accept what they bring or you don't. Because I think where you went wrong was you so desperately wanted this person that you were willing to accept the scraps that they were offering, when you knew the feast that you'd brought to the table, it wouldn't have been enough for both of you to eat throughout the rest of the relationship. So yeah, I like I said, I've questioned, did I make the right choice? Did I not? I think the thing that kind of keeps coming up in my mind is, I remember once I said to them, what percentage do you feel that I start arguments, and what percentage do you feel you start arguments? And they said they felt that 40% of the arguments were started by them, 40% of the arguments were started by me, and the rest were just arguments over silly misunderstandings. And I was like, okay. And then I said, what percentage do you feel that I try and repair things after we've, the connection has kind of broken down a bit, and what percentage do you feel you put the most effort into doing that? And that was what really shocked me, because at no point did I ever feel like they made an effort after we had a bit of a tiff. I never felt the effort, because I'm an anxious attachment and they're avoidant attachment. So whenever we had an argument, I wanted to just sit down, talk it out, get it over and done with. I hated going to sleep, and being in 2 different time zones meant that, I cried myself to sleep so many times, because their way of dealing with it was to just step back and need some space for a while. So I'd sometimes spend one or 2 nights, crying myself to sleep, not knowing where I stand, waiting for them to figure it out. Whereas I was always kind of, let's sit down, this is a misunderstanding, let's talk it out, let neither of us go to sleep, without sorting this out, or at least telling each other, that you still love each other and stuff like that. And that just never happened. And that's definitely been an eye-opener for me in kind of dealing with avoidant attachment styles. I've done quite a bit of research into it, and it is one of the compromises that that they also have to, I have to learn to give space, which I did learn to at the end, you know, I was getting quite good at going, look, I know you need your space, just please, just, you know, just let me know everything's okay, you know, that you are going to come back. That's all I ask for, you know, because to me that complete silence to me is an overwhelming sense of abandonment. So whilst I appreciate you need your space, if you can just reassure me that either way, whether you're coming back or not, and they just couldn't ever do that. And it really did make it more difficult each time we went through that. So it's been a real, like, now I'm starting to get to the stage where I really want to pull apart, because I've spent quite a lot of months thinking that it was all my fault, because I was the one that kind of said, look, you need to make this choice. And that question about, you know, when I asked him who tries the hardest after a thing, and he said he thinks he tries 70%, and I only put in 30% after, which was weird, because I was just like, no, I'm 100% always trying to fix things after. I don't ever feel like, so, you know, there's been days where I've been like, oh my God, is he waiting for me to come forward to him and, you know, try and give it another go and things like that. But I sent some pretty sincere messages when everything finished. I obviously had to contact him to ask for a few bits back, which sadly got lost in some very sentimental items that sadly got lost in the post there in the world somewhere between America and England. Whoever finds them, I hope they get some pleasure out of the items, because they were extremely sentimental. But yeah, there's been a lot of times where I've been kind of like, oh my God, if he always thought that it was 70% on him, is he maybe now sitting back waiting to see if I'm going to try and fight for him? And the whole purpose for my visit when I went back in April is because we'd had quite a severe argument, and I surprised him. I said I was coming. I wasn't going to tell him, but I ended up telling him, and I turned up a day early, just to surprise him, and kind of stood outside the store he worked and messaged him, and, you know, so, you know, I don't know what else I could have done, you know, traveling 4,500 miles to just try and sit down face to face and have a conversation and say, look, I want to be in your presence when we fix this, because, you know, when we're together it's perfect, but the moment we leave each other, and I think as well, something that's kind of really mulled over in my brain is the last time I left, when we were sat at the airport, he asked me multiple times, he's like, don't go back, we'll figure it out. And I was like, I got a job and a home. And he's like, just stay. And I was so close to just tearing my ticket up and staying. And it's just scary that had I done that, a mere less than 10 days later, things had ended. So it's kind of like, well, they must have wanted me, otherwise they wouldn't have been asking me to stay. So are they waiting? But no, it's got to the point now where they've had ample time to reach out. Like I said, I sent some pretty sincere messages around the time I kind of said, look, I really like my stuff back, and especially after it ended, I kind of sent some messages saying, look, I don't want you to think that there's any bad feelings. Like, I asked you to make that choice because it's got to come from you. Like, I don't feel like I can make you happy, so you need to make a choice on whether what you want is me, whether I can make you, whether I am the one to make you happy, or whether it's this other thing. And like I said, they chose that. So, you know, I tuck my tail between my legs and walk away and accept that, you know, it's crazy how much you put your worth into when someone does or doesn't pick you. But now I'm at a stage where I just want them to be happy. I just hope that they made the right choice, and that they're happy and they're well and all that stuff. So yeah, but it's unusual how I have really intense emotional days, and then the next day it's almost like, yeah, I have to go through it physically. My body almost kind of has to endure all the hormone dumps, like all the cortisol and adrenaline and everything that runs through my body on the days when, you know, my emotions, my physical body is just in knots, and my head and my heart just feel like they're going to burst. And then the next day, the physical symptoms like the headaches, the nausea, the upset stomach, all those things. But it's almost like that cleanse, it's like purging my body, and it gives me some small period of clarity where I'm still emotionally thinking about things that happened the day, like I'm still thinking about emotions that were going on in my head from yesterday, but because the knot's not there, I can kind of explore questions and kind of try and figure things out. And it's yeah, I think the one question I have is, it's not even a question, it's just, it's 4 months now, which is over half the time we were together, which is crazy to think. You know, our anniversary would have been coming up on the 14th of September. So, you know, to have been apart for 4 months and not even reached up what would have been our year anniversary is crazy. And I know that, you know, I almost instantly knew that they were the one. I knew I loved them before I even physically met them. And I know it's a lot easier to have those feelings than switch them off. But I'm just aching now for the day where I can just wake up and I can have maybe an occasional passing thought, but it just doesn't affect me anymore. I feel like it's 4 months now, Stace. Like, you should be getting over this now. It's just insane. Like, I mean, it shows you care. It shows you've got a big heart. But damn, girl, come on. You should know. Like, yeah. Like, and it's not like I'm intentionally. Like, I'm trying so hard to keep myself busy, my mind busy. You know, planning my future, doing things, doing this journal, trying to figure out the mistakes I made, trying to hold myself accountable, trying to learn from the mistakes I made so I don't make them again. Yeah, you're doing a lot to try and evolve as a person. Like, you're not just sweeping it under the carpet and going, you know, it didn't matter, because it did matter. You know, it mattered more. That relationship mattered more than any relationship I've ever had in my life with anyone. And I'm like, how long do I have to keep? Because I know they say, oh, it's up to you and you need to switch it off. And I am. There are days when, you know, I'll get into bed and I'll be like, and then a thought will come into my head and I'll be like, oh, I haven't thought about that for hours. So I know that time is a healer, and, you know, and stuff like that. But it's just, like I said, I know it's done. I know it's dusted. You know, I can't stop my brain from thinking these questions. because I want them, I wish they knew that I'd have done anything, you know, I'd have taken a bullet for them. Like, I would have done absolutely anything to make it work with them. And I just hope that they don't think that I gave up on them. Because in the end I didn't. I just asked them to pick me, and they didn't. So is that me giving up? is me giving them the ultimatum? But if I could have given them what I was in contention with, then, you know, I'd have just done that, but I couldn't. Anyway, so let's look at some quotes today. Let's get this journal done. So, here we go. Let's have a look. Here we go. Was this today? I saved this. Yes. Is it the 30th today? Is it? Yes, it is the 30th today. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. To say, it's crazy because the physical symptoms of, you know, and I don't know whether this is linked to having BPD and having such extremes in emotions, but the brain fog and the kind of the hazy, cloudy feeling that comes with an emotional high. Like, I'd never really, until I started doing this journal and kind of talking about it and recognizing, I've learned so much in 34 days of doing this journal and talking about things and documenting it. And I've learned so much about myself. It's insane. But yeah, the brain cloud that comes after a real emotional high or low is, because it happens with the highs as well, with like the extreme happiness. And it always, now I'm kind of thinking back and I'm like, God, there were times when I was over there and I'd be so happy, like literally, like I felt like I was going to burst with happiness, and then something would happen the next day and we'd just kick off into a little bicker. And now I'm starting to understand, because then I never really recognized it, whereas now I've kind of, having documented that certain highs and lows that I've had recently, that maybe that's something that comes with, maybe that's something that I need to be aware of. Like, you know, the next partner I have, I maybe need to say to them, look, extreme highs and lows will have a knock-on effect the next day. So the next day I maybe just need a little bit of more space and understanding, because I go through this like almost a physical change of it when I have my extreme highs and lows. And like I said, I'd never really spotted it before. I'd never really noticed how I feel the next day. But yeah, this journaling is really helping me understand my moods and my emotions and my physical changes. I feel like I'm learning about myself as a new person. It's crazy. But anyway, let's because I've just noticed that it's another long post. Sorry. So this one says, it's hard to let go, I know, but every time you scroll through their life, you're reopening wounds that need to heal. They've moved on, and so should you. Constantly checking in on them won't bring them back or change what's happened, which we've been no contact for months. It keeps keeps you stuck in a place you don't belong anymore. Close the app, turn off the notifications, and focus on yourself. Your life isn't meant to be lived in the shadow of someone who's already walked away. So constantly checking in on them. I haven't seen or spoke. Obviously, I can't see them. They're 4,500 miles away. I haven't spoke to them. I'm not on any social medias where I can like interact with them. I've deleted my Facebook. I have no other way of knowing if they're okay. I don't have any, I haven't asked anyone about them or anything. In fact, the only time they got brought up was one of their friends brought it up to me in a recent conversation, and I was kind of like, hey, I'm cool with the situation, type of thing. But yeah, it's I suppose I wanted to have that as my quote, is every time you scroll through their life. I suppose I could maybe tweak that quote and say every time I scroll through the memories, it is opening wounds that I need to heal. But I'm a great believer in, you have to feel through certain things. I've very much been someone through my life who's always put things in a box and kind of dealt with it when I've needed to. This is the first time I've kind of gone, this is exactly why my last relationship failed, because there is a box of trauma in my head, chest, body, wherever it is, that's filled with a lot of unresolved things that I haven't been able to address because I've just put them in there and have never actually worked through them. So I'm not going to do that anymore, because all it's doing is just taking it through. I'm just carrying it through my life, and I'm done. Like, after this last situation, I'm done carrying stuff from my past. It's too heavy. I've got too many new things ahead of me, and I need some space to create more happy memories. Like, all the shit that's been done to me, all the trauma, the physical, emotional, financial, like, I don't need to hold on to that anymore. I don't need to, I don't, a huge amounts of it, even when I think about it, doesn't really have any form of, like, I don't get any emotional connection to it. But I do find in certain situations I am triggered, and it's because I've just not had a consistent new way of working. It's almost like the riding the bike analogy. You have to you're going to fall off, but you have to pick the bike up, get back on, and keep going. And you're going to fall off, and then at some point you're going to have someone who's going to say, let me help you, and they're going to hold the seat for you, and they're going to run with you, and at some point they're going to see that you can handle it, and they're just going to let go of the seat, and you're going to be able to go. And then the next time you're in that situation, you can pick the bike up, and without needing anyone's help or reassurance or anything, you can pick that bike up and ride it. And I just think I'm at the stage where I'm trying to ride the bike myself, and I keep falling off because I sometimes don't know how to fix some of the things that are going on in my head. And I'm just waiting for someone not to heal me, because healing is an internal thing. Healing is a very personal journey. But there are certain things that you cannot heal on your own. And in regards to relationships, like I said, I've only had 2 serious relationships in the last 24 years because I've chosen to be single for outside of those relationships, to try and work on myself and be a better person the next time I've come into it. And like I said, this last relationship, there was some trauma that was triggered from my last, and even relationships going right back as early, because at the very beginning of our relationship, I genuinely thought, this is the person that's going to help me open that box and go, right, I've got a few things in here and I don't know how to fix them. Can we work through them together? And initially there were a few things we pulled out, and verbally they gave confirmation that they could help me deal with it. But then it gradually, as time went on, and I was just kind of like, okay, this is what I need to help me fix this. Can you offer it to me? And they couldn't. That's when I should have maybe realised that that they were my one, but I wasn't theirs. Because like I said, there wasn't anything I wouldn't have done for them. And still to this day, like if they phoned me up now and said, Stacey, I'm in trouble, I need your help, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But then I'd do the same for everyone. You know, I actually had someone who I got quite close to, not in any capacity of you know, being madly in love or anything with them, but there was a connection that I had with someone, and they've now got into a new relationship and they've actually had a kid and stuff like that. And you know, quite recently they came back and was just like, I see now the help that you were trying to do, and I haven't seen this person for years and years and years. And they were just like, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you at the time, but you know, there wasn't anything you could have said or done to change me at that time. I needed to go through this process to kind of realize myself what it was that you were trying to do. And that just warmed my heart, because it was a really difficult time. Like I really struggled with that connection, because I could see I wanted to help this person more than I think they wanted to help themselves. And you know, I'm learning now that sometimes you have to give, but if you're giving and they are not open to receiving, then it doesn't make you a bad person by not continually giving. It actually makes you a very compassionate and understanding person, to say, okay, I've tried to give to you, but it's clear that, you know, you need to process this on your own. I'm going to step back, but if you need me, I'm here. And I never done that with this person. I just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, because I knew that there was something in them. So to have them come back and have that conversation. And it was just a very brief conversation we had, because obviously they've got a new family now, and that chapter is well and truly closed. But to have them come back and say, I see now what it was you were trying to do, and I'm sorry that I didn't appreciate it at the time, and thank you for teaching me things. You've taught me things that I will carry through the rest of my life. That just literally filled my soul with warmth and happiness. You know, and I hope maybe one day my ex can do that, can just look back and go, she wasn't a bad person. If anything, you know, look at how many times she came to see me. Look at all the things she done to try and help me pursue my career, and you know, my dreams, and you know, all the silly little things that, you know, she done for me. And yeah, we've had, you know, the tiffs that we had were basically us misunderstanding, me trying to ask them for help in dealing with something that, you know, I just hope one day they're able to kind of do the same and say, do you know what, she wasn't a bad person, she was just trying to do her best. And I hope they know how much, you know, I love and appreciate the time that they gave me. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sat here doing this amazing healing work that I've spent my whole life. I've spent thousands of pounds in therapy, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And you know what? I've learned more about myself in the last 4 months than I've learned in the last 4 years. It's crazy. So yeah, I owe them a lot. You know, they've taught me a lot about what I do want and what I value and what I want in a person, and what I feel is kind of acceptable. You know, and I have to just keep remembering, because I have thought at some point, was I demanding things that I shouldn't demand in a relationship? But in essence, all I was asking was for them to do to respect me the way that I was respecting them. So I'm slowly learning that it wasn't that I was asking for too much. It was just that I was asking the wrong person. And that there is someone out there who is going to see, you know, loyalty and commitment and dedication and time and attention as, and conversations as gems within a relationship. That's what it should be based on, you know, having that one person that you know has your back irregardless. Like if I would have genuinely, like, we could have been out and he could have been in front of a crowd of people telling everyone the sky is green, and I would have fought to the death to say he's right, the sky is green. And then when we'd have walked away, I'd have gone, mate, the sky's blue, but I ain't gonna do that to you in public. But you're a fool, the fucking sky's blue, it ain't green. But have their back out when out in the world, but then have the honest conversations behind closed doors. And I would have done that for them for anything. But there were a few occasions when I asked them to have my back and they didn't. And looking back now, I think I knew. I just wanted it to be them so much, and yeah. But that's not a bad thing. My one is out there. Someone who'll want me as much as I wanted them. They're out there. And all this that I'm doing now is leading me to them. But in the meantime, Stacey, you have to focus on you. You are the only person that is going to be in your life and has been from that first breath until your last breath. You have to be your own best friend. You have to love you as much as you love others, if not more, double more. You have to give yourself everything that you give others. Give yourself first. You can't give from an empty cup. Just be the person that you want to be, full of love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness and grace and gratitude, and be generous with your time, your energy, your money if you can, whatever it is. Give pieces of yourself to strangers in the street that need help carrying their bags across the street, or you see us struggling. Keep working on that box. Yes, there are things that you're going to struggle to deal with and you're going to need help next time that comes up, but just keep going. You've got this. I'm so proud of you. It's been a tough 2 days. Yesterday emotionally, today physically, but you're here. You've shown up. You went for your walk. You went to the gym. You've had some food, even though it's made you feel sick. You've drunk water. You've done everything you can to try and keep yourself well and safe and happy, and just keep learning, keep growing, keep documenting these days, because like I said, you've learned more about yourself. Yeah. And just the day will come when you can look back over what happened and it doesn't hurt anymore, because you do look back and you just smile when you think about them, which I think is what hurts. It would be easy if you could hate them, but that's just not in you. You know, I do just want them to be happy. So, you know, if I can't give it to them, then I had to step out the way to let someone or something else do that. So yeah, stay strong. Just focus on you. Just remember, we've learned what expectations lead to. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep actively practicing no expectations. We're just going to keep taking each day as it comes, learning, documenting, practicing gratitude every single day, which you haven't done today. Who are you grateful for? I am grateful for, what am I grateful for? And what am I happy for? I'm happy that, oh my God, I haven't done those two, have I? I'm happy that I started this journey, and I'm happy that I'm not one of those people that goes, I wish I'd never met them. You know, I see a lot of posts that are like, if you could wind the clock back and never meet them again. And there have been a few days where I've been like, oh my God, I would never have responded to their message if I'd known the pain, and nearly losing my life, you know, nearly giving my life up because I'd hit the lowest I've ever been. You know, even when I lost my dad, and I hit a real low, it wasn't as bad as it's been recently. And I wouldn't change anything. Why would I throw away the most amazing 7 months? Like, even the arguments, I learned so much about myself in those arguments, and everything that's come from it. So yeah, no, I wouldn't change a thing. So I'm happy that everything happened. I'm happy that my gratitude is, yeah, I'm happy that everything happened and that I'm in this place now, which I don't think I would have been where I am today if I hadn't have met them. Yeah, they definitely were the kick up the arse that I needed. That switch that all these books talk about. You know, there comes a day in your life where you go, is enough, and they were it. Just out of the blue, out of nowhere. So my gratitude is for my books. I'm grateful that I've read all these books and I knew what to look out for, and I've known they've taught me how to stay soft, how to stay gracious, how to stay compassionate and loving and kind and caring, and to keep trying, keep working towards things. So I'm grateful that, you know, over every year that I've bought a new book and every situation that's caused me to go out and seek a new way to do things, I'm grateful that when the time came, although I nearly did slip up and make the biggest mistake ever, I didn't. And now I get to document my moment when I realised that enough is enough. And Stacey, you deserve so much. You're worthy, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're so brave. Some of the things you've done, you know, and some of the things you're planning to do, you're so brave. You know, you're not afraid to take chances. You're spontaneous. You love making people happy and making them laugh and smile. Just make sure you feed into your cup as much as you feed into others. And when you catch yourself talking to yourself, visualize yourself as little you, and just say to yourself, would you say that to you? Would you say that to the child you? And if you wouldn't, then don't say it to yourself. Be as kind to you as you are to everyone else, because it's day 34. This journey's only just started. This journey has only just begun. And on that note, I love you. I'm proud of you. You've got this. And above everything, stay kooky. Because you're fucking nuts. But I love you. You've got this, girl.